Good morning. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. This morning's topic, I'm going to talk about the culture civil war. The culture civil war. Tyranny versus liberty. Now, it is very important that you understand that we have a clash between two cultures in this country. You have one side who wants tyranny and the other side wants liberty. The question that you must ask yourself is, what type of country do you want? Now, if you've been watching the Kavanaugh case, you had a number of paid protesters trying to coerce senators not to vote for Judge Kavanaugh. That backfired. He will be confirmed. And right now, it is 51-49. And if they lose a vote and it becomes a tie, then the vice president, Mike Pence, will break the tie because the vice president is the president of the Senate. Now, moving on. Now, the reason why I believe there's a culture war in this country, it's because during the 60s, the 70s, we had a lot of movements. We had the Vietnam War. We had the decline of families. God was taken out of everything. The culture became a little bit more secular. But you have to ask yourself, has the secular way of living been working? I mean, if you look at it, it seems to me there are no boundaries. And everything that we had before, traditional families, being independent, identifying two genders, men and women, boys and girls, the non-political correctness, if you look at it today, we tend to look at that as abnormal. It's like everything has been flipped upside down. Now, the bottom line is, do you want your speech? I mean, as I look at what's going on, particularly from the left, you have a lot of immature behavior and a lot of violent behavior because their girl, Hillary Clinton, didn't win. Now, I'll tell everybody on the left, if you want to stop Donald Trump's policies, then you have to get out and vote. But you can't vote on anger and emotion. You have to find something to vote for. And everything can't be identity politics because that's what the left always plays. But middle America's tired of that. Middle America goes to work every day. Now, we don't live on the coast that give you a chance to have these lifestyles. And in fact, if you live in areas that are run by Democrats, let's just be honest. You have high crime rates, welfare, or you have high rent, high taxes. If you don't believe me, I live out here near the Chicago area, and to rent in a flat apartment, it costs you $1,200, $1,300 a month, same way it would be in New York and LA. So you're not really saving a lot of money. You're losing a lot of money for a small space. So you have to consider that when you go out to vote. But my question is, you look at the society as a whole, from the private companies, the government, religion, media, and education. I call that the 5 power conferences of society. Well, they've all been infected by the left. And when you infect those 5 areas, then you have Rome. Everything goes. You can't live in a libertine society because there's chaos. You have to have some type of order. This is why we are a country of laws. It's known as a democratic republic. We have a representative government. But too many of us are asleep at the wheel. We don't know what's going on. We don't care to know what's going on because it's not affecting us. But at the end of the day, it is affecting you, even on your local level, even on your work level. When you have allegations of sexual assault, that's bad, because that's saying that if you go out with a person, even if you didn't do anything and they don't get their way, they could charge you with an alleged rape. The bottom line is, you have to ask yourself, in this country, where's due process? This is part of the traditions in America. See, the left doesn't want due process. The left wants everything to go their way. And if you look at a number of these countries out there who live under tyranny, it's the people at the top, particularly your bureaucrats, who are rich. They don't care about the people at the bottom. The people at the bottom are slaves. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to stay on a plantation, or do you want to have your right to prosper? See, I did a video last year, and I talked about 2 types of liberalism. There's progressive liberalism, and there's classic liberalism. And if you ask me, I want to live under classic liberalism, to where I am free to speak, even if it offends somebody. See, we've been living under this PC culture for so long that it seems to me that we have to adopt every philosophy that the emotional left presents, or will be called a racist, a homophobe. But don't you get tired of that? Don't you get tired of having your speech restricted because you don't make the people on the left happy? I am. And if you look at what the left's doing, when they're telling their people to go out and surround all of Donald Trump's appointees, maybe not to harm them physically, but to harm them mentally, that's not fair at all. And I believe that a number of these protesters are paid by George Soros. Because how could you take that much time off of your job to go out there and protest? Now, it's good to protest, but protest civilly. But when you have the left, they're not civil with protests. They're very violent. In fact, some of the environmentalists out here, feminists out here, socialists, radical communists, all those that I mentioned are all part of Karl Marx. They use the good intent to try to sway you to see issues their way. But once you start to see issues their way, you will find out that you've been bamboozled. And what the left has done, and they've been very smart about doing it, they've invaded the 5 power cultural conferences or societal conferences that I told you about. And again, there are your companies, your private companies, your government, your media, your religion, and your education system. And have done it so smartly that they have basically indoctrinated a lot of people into their way of thinking. But the way that they are thinking on the left is very destructive to this country. Now, if you go over to the right, you have some extreme evangelical Christians. That's also not good. See, what we need in this country is a balanced society. You know, you had people who died for us for the freedoms. And I'll tell you, people on the left, you've never lived in a communist country. You ask some people who lived under that type of totalitarian rule, you'd come back here in a heartbeat. Because there are a number of you on the left who have benefited from the policies here to become successful, but you don't want anybody else to be successful like you. So my idea of making this video is to ask you, what kind of country do you want to live in? Do you want to be free to speak? Because in other countries, you're not free to speak. You can be arrested. Or do you want to live under tyrannical rule? If you live under tyrannical rule, now you've moved over into the Fidel Castros, the Pol Pots, the Mao Zedongs, the Lenin, the Stalins, the Mussolinis. These are the individuals that murdered a lot of people. Because the people to whom they murdered resisted the type of country that these so-called powerful dictators wanted. And when you start taking the rights and freedoms away from people, and you put it in the hands of government, you're going to have a nation of tyranny. Now, I believe that people who want liberty, like myself, were a threat to the people who don't want liberty. In fact, the people who don't want liberty in this country, I'll call them flat out treasonous. Because you have a number of individuals who don't understand what's going on, and they've been caught up into an ideology that's not only going to destroy the people who love liberty, but it's going to destroy them too. Because once you eliminate the conservative side, then that tyranny is going to come back and destroy you on the left as well. It's just that a number of you don't know it. So what I'm telling you is, you got to take a stand for what you believe in. Now, like him or hate him, Donald Trump is doing everything he said he was going to do. Sorry Hillary didn't win. She was a bad candidate. And anybody running on the Democratic side, like your Kamala Harris's and your Cory Booker's, they're also bad for this country. We're a country of laws. Now, don't get me wrong, the judicial system is not fair, particularly if you're black, if you're poor, but it is better than others. But I do believe in due process. And see, what the left believes is their process. Now, I'm not saying everybody on the left is bad, but I just don't have respect for that type of ideology that doesn't challenge their way of thinking. See, the left in this country, the reason why they utilize identity politics is they want to stop debate. They want you to feel bad. But you got to fight the tyrannical system that they want if you want to have a country. Because particularly if you're black and you think slavery was bad, it'll become worse. You look at it, all the ghettos. They had high-rise public housing. I call that concentration camps. Reason why they were built so you could stay right in the city, in the slums, and not move out to the suburbs. The government didn't want you to do better. But I don't understand black folk, because they continuously vote Democrats in because they think all Republicans are bad. To a number of you African Americans out there, you need to start understanding how the system works. Because the Democrats are not your friends. People on the left, they don't want you to think for yourself. what they want you to do is be dependent on them. You look at people like Margaret Sanger. She put Planned Parenthood in black communities. And in the Bible, one of the fruits is to multiply. Well, people like Margaret Sanger didn't want blacks to multiply. This is why a number of our black people lead the nation in abortion. But going back to the Civil War, I call it tyranny versus liberty. It's actually good versus evil. You have a lot of evil people on the left. And these people are out to destroy this country at any cost. I mean, this was a long and drawn out confirmation process. Really didn't have anything to do with Brett Kavanaugh. It had to do with the ideology. And the ideology was, if there's another conservative on the court, the left thinks that Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned. It is not going to be overturned. What's going to happen is you're going to have somebody that's going to legislate from the bench instead of utilizing their own ideology. This is why Judge Garland, who would have been an Obama appointee, was not appointed to the Supreme Court. Now, Elena Kagan, who had no experience, that was one of Obama's appointees. She was unanimously appointed. So was Justice Sotomayor. But see, the problem in this country is that the people on the left don't like the people on the right. They think everybody on the right is deplorable, uneducated. That's where the war is. But the person driving this bus is George Soros. Now you have to ask yourself, how do you get to people like George Soros, who's a multi-billionaire? Because he's paying these protesters to disrupt everything that's going on in this country. Well, here's how you can attack it. You got to get more knowledgeable about how the system works. We live in uncomfortable times. When you have allegations of sexual assault, notice what I said, allegations. When you got divide and conquer, rich versus poor, men versus women, Christians versus non-Christians, that's a way to control people. That's what they're doing. But too many of us are asleep at the wheel. What I'm urging people to do is wake up. Certainly this country's had a lot of problems. But it could be worse. But I'm just going to tell you right now. Be careful what you wish for. You may get it. Because we as the people get the government we vote for. If you're on my side and you want liberty, then don't vote for tyranny. But if you want tyranny, and you want to live under communist rule, socialist rule, because usually if it starts off as socialism, it'll eventually go to communism. Because, again, you got the people on the left. They will not stop until they get power. Because that's all they want. They want to control everybody in this country. And they're going to do it by any means necessary. Now, you don't have to believe me. Look around you. It starts in your education system, where a number of your students coming up are being indoctrinated. You look at the media. You look at what's going on in the corporate world, the government. You even look at religion. And in the black community, this is why the black church is failing. because it's all about indoctrination to keep this country from being free. Now, I know all of us don't think we're free. We are free. We just don't know what freedom is, particularly black people. We're still slaves in our mind. So you have to understand, if you live under a white supremacist system, I don't usually talk about white supremacy because white supremacy does not just hurt minorities, but also hurts other white people. The way to combat that is you have to study it. You have to find the loopholes. And once you find all the loopholes, then you utilize it to your own advantage. But it takes some work. So again, what I want to say to you all is this, and some of you may think this video is boring, I may lose subscribers, that's okay. My job here at the 411 Talk Zone radio show is to put out the truth. And on this channel, I'm not going to worry about analytics, views, because I don't deal with drama on this channel. This is education. I know, particularly to the black community, the videos going back and forth about black women, I don't do that type of material. I'll never do it. Beefing with each other, I'll never do that either. I'm about living in a civilized society, being educated. And that's what you get here at the 401 Talk Zone radio show. Some of you may like this video, some of you may not. That's fine. But at the end of the day, let's talk about some support. Support people like Q North Star, Brother Matt Cole, Arlo Monk. Support the small channels. Channels like mine. Because we're putting out good information. Putting out information that's going to give you some awareness. And this video today that I've done on the Civil War, the cultural Civil War, take time to view it. Now, I didn't hit all the points that I wanted to hit in this video. There'll be others to follow, since we are getting in the political season. But the question I ask you, what country do you want to live in? You want to live in a tyrannical country, or do you want to live in a country that you have liberty? The answer is yours. My answer, I want to maintain the freedoms I have. Even though there's some things about this country that aren't fair. I'd rather live in this country than live in some place like a Cuba or Poland, where you'll be under tyranny. And under tyranny, you will not have any freedom of speech. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this afternoon. Saturday, October 6, 2018. You can tune into the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I'm going to work on getting my Blog Talk radio shows back up, and I'm going to talk more about the political issues, the religious issues. I haven't been doing it lately because I've had other projects going on in my life, positive projects. So I'm not up here on social media all the time, and I don't need to be up here all the time. I'll put videos out. I'll put Blog Talk radio shows out as long as you're willing to support it. I'm not going to support it. There's no reason for me to be up here taking my time out of my own day, giving you free information that you don't appreciate. Because like I said, you want to get in any of my conversations on Blog Talk Radio, the guest calling number is 215-383-5785. And if you miss my Blog Talk Radio shows, You can always go back to the archive shows. I have them on my Facebook page. I even have my YouTube videos on my Facebook page and my Twitter pages as well. Bottom line is you have to be interested in the material. You have to want to get educated. And this is why I always say, if you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Because what I'm giving you is quality information from a professional and mature perspective. That's why I told you in the beginning that I don't do anything that deals with drama or any type of bickering. It's counterproductive. Anything emotional. Now, some of the information may be sensitive, and that's based on how you take it. But overall, the drama or unnecessary bickering is not what I'm going to do, because the 401 Talk Zone radio show is an educational channel, a therapeutic channel, self-awareness channel. So I will tell you some of the information that I present may be boring to individuals who are looking for entertainment. Like I said, if you want the entertainment and the drama, the 401 Talk Zone radio show channel, this is not for you. It's for the mature audience who's interested in understanding how the real world works to make their lives better. Because if you have knowledge, you have power. And if you have a topic or a new YouTube channel or business that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, the only thing you have to do is email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comments in the comment section under the video, but make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Until next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed day. God bless you.